Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel for this new moon in Gemini happening on June 18th, 2023. So if you're on Eastern Standard Time, this is happening at 12:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 18th. But if you're in the Pacific Northwest like I am, or Pacific Standard Time, that translates into June 17th at 9:37 p.m. And then, of course, if you're anywhere in other time zones, you can just translate into your time zone. So, if you don't already know me, my name is Alice Prejean, and I have a website. It's called Knowthyselfandheal.com. I do personal sessions and natal readings and transit readings, solar returns and progress chart. So you can always contact me if you like. And otherwise, let's get into this new moon in Gemini. So with all new moons, this means that the sun and the moon are in the same degree of the sky, which means it's in the same degree of our own natal charts. In whatever house that this is happening in, where Gemini is, and this particular new moon is at 26 degrees and 43 minutes. So you can look to see where is that range of 26 to 27 degrees of Gemini. Where is that happening in your chart? Because the house that it is in is actually the aspect of life that you're going to find this new seeding of consciousness in regards to your Gemini consciousness. This is where the seeding is happening, this particular aspect of your life. And, you know, I can use myself as an example, like Gemini at 26, 27 degrees. This is in my 12th house. And so this can be 12th house is actually our spirituality. It's, you know, our spiritual practices. It can be things that are hidden from us, even from our own psyche, right? But then with Gemini, this is about how we connect the dots. Our ideas, thoughts, perceptions, not only receiving information, but transmitting information, right? So this would be happening, you know, like it could be a seed point for me because it's happening in my 12th house in regards to a new practice in regards to my own ideas, thoughts, and perceptions, and how those translate into beliefs in my daily life, which would be what sits across the 12th house, the 6th house, right? So just to give you a very brief example of how this translates, how you can actually translate it in your own chart. Now, it goes much deeper because the thing is that there's a lot of things going on. It's not just the new moon. It's how, you know, let's say in this particular case, where is Mercury? Because Mercury is the ruler or planetary guide of the new moon. So there's all these other planets going on. And so, you know, it's really helpful to see how this is all overlaying in your own chart. But just, you can even utilize the information and really notice how this is happening and occurring in your own life, in your own consciousness. And, you know, the new moon, as I said, it's always going to be the sun and the moon in a conjunction. A conjunction just means that these are fusing together. The moon is our internal world, how we're internalizing our experience in this particular axis of consciousness, which is Gemini and Sag, right? Because the new moon's in the new moon's in Gemini. And the sun, how we're expressing, you know, self-actualizing this particular part of our consciousness, which is Gemini, right? And then how that translates into the Sagittarius consciousness, which is beliefs. So with Gemini and Sag, this is about our thoughts, perceptions, ideas, communication, distributing information, connecting the dots, connecting with people, places, things that assist us to actually form beliefs. And remember that beliefs are actually structures that support, or let me say it this way, beliefs are meant to support our own personal structure of consciousness, our own personal reality. And this is important in this new moon because Jupiter is in Taurus. It's in conjunction to the North Node. And it's a separating conjunction, meaning Jupiter's at 6 degrees, 55 minutes of Taurus, and the nodes are at 2 degrees, 45 minutes. And remember that the nodes of the moon move backwards, whereas the planet move forwards from 0 to 30 degrees in a sign. The planetary nodes, or the moon's nodes in this case, is moving backwards from 29 degrees of a sign to 0 degrees, right? So that's how it works. And so they're a separating conjunction, but it's still that Jupiter is really expanding this north node in Taurus for us. And this, because it's the ruler of Sagittarius and it's also the ruler of Pisces, Jupiter's significant. Now, Mercury is the ruler of this new moon, and Mercury is at 11 degrees and 52 minutes of Gemini, and it's exactly in a sextile with Venus. And remember, Venus is the ruler of the North Node, so this is important. And Venus is in Leo. And so this is about how our thoughts, perceptions, ideas, do they really feed into our own sense of values, like our personal values. And remember that our beliefs and thoughts, ideas, they're really meant to actually create and support structures of consciousness that support our own evolutionary momentum. And in this case, Taurus and Scorpio, our Taurus and Scorpio axes in consciousness. This is our self-value, our heart chakra, as Venus rules and guides the heart. And this is about our internal vibration. Venus is, as it relates to Taurus, is the Taurus, Taurus. This is the vibration, the energetic fields moving through the body, and how they actually, as we have these energetic fields, we're actually attracting things to us that are going to assist us to not only learn, grow, and expand our consciousness, but also create a evolutionary momentum in regards to our own personal evolutionary purpose, which is naturally going to be contributing light in the world and fueling our light in the world as well. And not only does this bring value to ourselves and our own lives, but also value to the collective. Now, what's interesting about this new moon is that Saturn is in Pisces, pretty fresh entered Pisces, right? It's at 7 degrees, 13 minutes. Where is Pisces in your chart? What house is it in? And Saturn is just stationed retrograde on the 17th, right? And so with Saturn retrograding and freshly stationed retrograde as we're moving into this new moon, and Jupiter's conjunct the North Node, this really does highlight, in my opinion, it highlights how our beliefs are meant to actually support our own personal reality. Now, Pisces, as I have said, it's ruled by Jupiter and by Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces as well. It's at 27 degrees and 39 minutes. It's coming to a quickening or culmination of the sign of its moving through Pisces. And really, Neptune dissolves what is no longer serving and in service to our own personal devotions and service to the world. But also it does dissolve beliefs in the collective unconscious. Pisces is about the collective unconscious. And Pisces is where we can have osmosed belief systems from the collective unconscious. As we've been, born into this world, we're naturally going to be osmosing belief systems that we've been around, whether that's our own family, our own society that we grew up in, religious and religious experiences or cultural experiences, and the beliefs that are in alignment with those things. We could have osmosed beliefs, and some of those beliefs we may have outgrown. Maybe they did really serve us. They served our upbringing, or they served us up to this point. But we may have found that we've now outgrown them, that or that maybe even those beliefs never really did quite serve our personal values and what really contributes to our own heart expansion, as well as our own love nature, our own love, what we really resonate with, what we really love. So this could have diminished our heart chakra. It could have diminished the expansion of our own learning and our own personal contribution of light. So we can be finding that Neptune through Pisces has been dissolving those things that we may have osmosed or that we may have taken on or bought into, right? That just don't serve us, or we find doesn't serve us now, right? And Saturn is here to actually assist that processes, that process with us, because Saturn is about how we're structuring our consciousness and how have we felt maybe restricted in our own personal reality because of osmosing some of these belief systems that really just didn't resonate with our personal belief systems, that, you know, just don't serve our natural essence, who we truly are at the core. Because this is what Taurus is about. It's about our core essence. It is about our own empowerment in regards to aligning with our natural essence, who we naturally are, our natural selves, right? And, you know, no doubt we've all been, you know, probably experienced aspects of being in this time and era that we took on beliefs that were not resonant with our natural self or our core essence, because maybe we felt judged. Maybe we felt like, you know, humiliated if we actually really expressed those beliefs or expressed those ideas, right? But really, with Uranus moving through Taurus too, this can be where we're liberating ourselves so that we can be in alignment with our natural vibration and our natural core essence, our personal truth. And Jupiter conjunct the North Node is expanding our personal truth. This is where we can utilize these transits to really come online with our personal truth. So this new moon in Gemini can really be assisting us to clarify these intentions in regards to our Gemini consciousness, where we really honor our own personal ideas, thoughts, perceptions, and that this assists us to actually mature, because Pluto has retrograded back into Capricorn, which is a Saturn ruled sign. This is about a yin consciousness, how we structure our reality from the inside out. And remember, our inner personal structure of reality is actually supported by our personal beliefs. So when we really are honoring our personal beliefs, then we can actually really come into power, our personal power in structuring our own reality, rather than the reality out there reflecting something that we do not prefer. And so this is about really maturing and honoring our personal thoughts, perceptions, beliefs, communications, no matter how different. And just that, you know, Gemini is about this and that, meaning that I might believe a certain thing or perceive a certain thing, but someone else might perceive something completely different. But this is where we recognize that the ultimate truth holds all truths. So we're all looking from different angles of perception, and they're all valid. They're all meant to support our personal journey. And we can learn from each other even if we don't resonate with each other. And we can recognize what resonates and what doesn't, and yet still learn from what does not resonate. And that's what I really think this is about with the Venus sextile to Mercury. And, you know, Leo in its highest essence, being that Venus and Mars, the rulers of the nodes right now, are in Leo. This is about, you know, not only honoring our own light, but also the encouragement of others' light, no matter how diverse, no matter how different, right? And so this high vibrational Leo is actually accessing extreme creativity, incredible, immense creativity, and self-actualization of that creativity, Mars, Venus, and Leo, by really encouraging everyone's light and by honoring everyone's light, no matter how unique and no matter how different. And really honoring our personal unique light, not copying other people's light, not, you know, being a belief thief or, like taking on other people's beliefs because you feel you have to, but more like, oh, that's your belief. Okay, great. I don't really believe that. That doesn't support my light or support my creativity, but I'll honor, who you are, how you're bringing your own unique version of light in the world. And they're equally needed and necessary for this bigger puzzle, this bigger picture of the creative expression of everything that exists, of all possibilities, which is what we would call God, or this divine essence, this Piscean source energy, right? And so with Saturn going retrograde right at that new moon, I think this really has to do with this maturation process of really, being mature, really growing up in regards to self authority. We are our own authority. We don't need anyone to validate our light, nor our belief systems. We just have to honor our own and know that it's supporting us into actually creatively self actualizing that which we love, which is only bring more love into the world, no matter how different and unique it is. So I think that because it is Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn, Pluto's right there retrograded back into Capricorn recently. This is just cleaning up any more that we may need to clean up to really honor our personal beliefs, our personal perceptions, ideas, how we personally connect the dots, even though, we might find that when we explore out there, connect with others, that they're different. And that's actually a good thing. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are all air signs. They support each other. So this is about, ideas, thoughts, perceptions. It's the air element, and they support each other. There's a natural flow. But that flow between the ideas, thoughts, perceptions, and that mental plane with the air signs, that gets stuck if we actually, or in other words, it loses momentum in the flow of ideas. And I do believe creative self-actualization when we actually are not allowing others to have different ideas than us. That's why we want Gemini to be this and that rather than this or that, because we can actually gain momentum when we're this and that, next level, this and that, next level, because we even learn from the contrast. We learn from the difference, and we can actually utilize differences to actually gain more evolutionary momentum. And on a certain level, I want to say almost like more texture in our creative self-actualization. It reminds me of one of my favorite artists. If you don't already know, I'm actually learning watercolors, and with Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, we could be taking on and as well as Pluto going to be moving into Aquarius, we could actually find new creative outlets. So it's a great time to do that. One of mine is watercolors, and I'll tell you, I grew up with an artist. There's a lot of art pieces in my house that I was growing up in that I loved, and it was a woman that used watercolors, and her name is Christine Rosamond, and a lovely artist. She was an artist in the 70s, and she used watercolors as well as lithograph. But what I loved about her art too is that she used the negative space, and so it's this different angle of perception with her art where she's using negative space. You can check her out and see what I mean by that if you're not familiar with her. But recognizing that just by having negative space, positive space, negative, positive, dark, light, all these contrasting things actually give us the opportunity to see from different angles. So it really is about this and that, and having fun with it, really playing with those different elements, and not getting, caught up in a one or the other, but actually as a tool of creative self-actualization for our own personal exploration of what we personally love, right? And then honoring others and their exploration as well. Recognizing that it's all a creative self-actualization, that we get to watch this in like slow motion, right? On the 3D plane. And so recognizing that nothing is static, we're all creatively self-actualizing, we're all learning and growing, and that we're all in different, you know, processes within that learning and growing. And so this is where we can really honor the diversity and actually benefit from the diversity as well. So we can encourage it, and we can also recognize the expansion of love that comes from that. So what's interesting also about this particular new moon is that since our eclipse season, we've actually been we had 2 new moons in Aries, and this was when we started beginning this eclipse, weaving in the eclipses of Aries and Libra. So we had 2 new moons in Aries in this eclipse season of spring 2023, or at least here in the Pacific Northwest it was spring, but wherever you are in the world it could have been autumn, right? But these 2 new moons in Aries actually then created this cycle where we're gonna experience for a full year the full moons first and then the new moons. Okay, and so interestingly, after this new moon in Gemini, we're having a full moon in Capricorn. Rather than going into Cancer, we're starting with the Cancer season with a full moon in Capricorn. And so it's interesting that Saturn went retrograde at this new moon, and then we experienced the full moon next in Capricorn, Saturn's sign. So that's a nice and interesting weaving into, again, really going and backtracking into our really completing our excavation of our own Capricorn consciousness, as Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. And it's finishing up its traverse for this lifetime of Pluto and Capricorn. So, I just think that this is an interesting and beautiful design to support us in actually really doing this Saturnian work. We're really looking at where is it that I can structure my consciousness in a way that's really supporting my personal identity. Aries and Libra, how it squares Aries and Libra and Capricorn, right? And remember that the nodes of the moon, July 18th of 2023, are going to be shifting into Aries and Libra. So again, this is all supportive to really coming online with our personal identity and really being authentic with that, because Saturn's about authenticity. It's about integrity. It's about, being our own authority. I mean, we can only be authentic if we're actually our own authority. Yes, we can have people who are teachers to us, but at the end of the day, we are our own authority. And so we can recognize that we may come across beliefs that come from authority figures that we would think are authority figures or authority, but at the end of the day, if those beliefs do not resonate with us, they're really not supporting our personal structure of consciousness and our personal reality. And ultimately, we are first and foremost obligated to our own personal connection to source and our own personal identity within that, right? As an expression of this ultimate creator, right? So we are our own authority, and this is about claiming that. And with Saturn in Pisces, this could be noticing, oh, where did I osmose some beliefs from the collective unconscious that really aren't mine, right? That don't support my reality, that don't support what I desire to build now in my reality. Because remember, Pluto is going to move into Aquarius for good, and then it's going to be there for 20 years. So this is going to show this yang form of Saturn where we build our reality in the outside world. So we're making sure we're cleaning up the inside world so that the outside world can really reflect our creative self-actualization in the way that is actually going to grow our contribution of light in the world as Aquarius opposes Leo, right? So the full moon in Capricorn, just so you know, is July 3rd. And that's at 7:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that means it's going to be at, 4:39 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, July 3rd, 2023. So I will come back and do a video for that. But just, so you know that it's kind of interesting because Mars and Venus is in a square to Uranus and Taurus. In that particular full moon chart, the full moon's at 11 degrees, 19 minutes of Capricorn. And yeah, I mean, that full moon's going to be in a nice sextile to Saturn. And that's really helpful because the Venus-Mars square to that Uranus is going to be, tension in regards to how we're self-actualizing what we value in our own personal light, our own personal heart. And Uranus will help us to actually, with that integrative process. And, in that we could have shocks and unpredictable things happen that assist us to integrate, to really be able to recognize where, we need to take in all of the information and integrate it so that we can be integral with our own creative self-actualization. The way in which we act on our own behalf, Mars, our own creativity, Mars and Leo. And then based on what we love, Venus and Leo, right? So that's just a little brief. I'll come back and do a whole nother video on that. But again, I just think it's really interesting. We're going to be experiencing that full moon in Capricorn because of this new moon in Gemini and the very poignant Saturn retrograde and station retrograde at the new moon, right? So I also wanted to mention that Mars is in an applying square to Uranus in this new moon. So Mars is in Leo, Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is at 21 degrees and Mars is at 16 Leo. So it's not an exact, but it's an approaching square. So it's a first quarter square. So, remember that Mars is always acting on behalf of Pluto. So we could have like something instinctual happen that is a little shocking, unpredictable, or surprising, that assists us to really look at, well, what structure of consciousness am I really coming from? Is it how I want to act on my own behalf and my own creativity and what I love and desire to really bring and magnetize to me? Or, is there some kind of an adjustment that needs to be made? Because interestingly, this new moon is in a quincunx to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And the quincunx is like an adjustment, like what adjustment needs to be made. And this means what adjustments in my own structure of consciousness needs to be made so that I'm really honoring my own thoughts, perceptions, ideas, and communications. And then, also communicating the way in which I desire to communicate as well. And so this can definitely be, an interesting exploration in regards to how I'm communicating what it is I'm what I'm actually, I want to say going after. It's not the best choice of words, I guess, but Mars is really our instinctual nature to get what we want, to apply energy towards the directions that we desire to go in, and therefore to get what we want, which is natural. This is natural. There's a reason we desire what we desire, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of how are we going about getting it. And so, in how we're going about getting it, are those instincts actually in alignment with our integrity? With, how we really want to be showing up in the world, in our own lives, in our world. Because remember, Mars is always planting seeds. And we want to make sure we're planting seeds that we're going to actually really appreciate the reflection back that we get. So, kind of like what goes around comes around, like remembering it's not that that's a judgment, it's just the way it is. We create our own personal reality based on how we're acting upon our own behalf. So how we act upon our own behalf instinctually literally puts signatures in our vibration, our Taurus energy, Taurus, which is Venus, right? And then based on how we've been acting, we magnetize things to us. Venus, this is how Mars and Venus works. So we want to make sure, have I been acting with integrity? And is my instinct to act with integrity, with ethics? Because remember, Saturn is ethics. And Uranus would be ethics as well. So ethics, integration, integrity, the structure in which I want to build my reality. Therefore, however I'm acting, would I want someone else to be acting that way in my world as well? Because that is what you're going to attract to you, right? And so you want to make sure that you are acting with integrity, the way in which you would want to be treated, kind of the golden rule. And so this can be helpful, because this way we can actually really be in alignment with that which we really desire to create. We cannot create the things we desire if our actions are out of alignment with that. So this is why, if we want to create a world full of ethics, we have to have those ethics ourselves. And so what does that mean to you? It may mean something different to you than it does someone else, and that's okay. It's just that recognize that if that's the case and it doesn't resonate, it may not be an energetic match, right? So we all want to really be honest with ourselves around what it is that is ethical and valuable to us. Are we acting within those parameters so that we can attract that reality to us? We can attract relationships to us that mirror that back to us. Because remember, the nodes of the moon are going to be moving into Aries and Libra July 18th. And so we're already likely feeling this. And so, because the South Node will be moving through Libra, it won't be surprising if we recognize that, okay, we're having to sift through what relating styles do we resonate with, what do we not resonate with. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Even though we may love someone, it doesn't mean that it's compatible, right? And so, and just because it's not compatible doesn't mean that anyone's bad or particularly good or any of that. Because this is some of the traps that we can get in with Aries and Libra is, polarization and just this, labeling ourselves bad or labeling ourselves good, when really it's just, what kind of reality are we building for ourselves? We get to build it. We are co-creators, and so we get to build our personal reality. And this is what Capricorn's about. This is what Saturn's about. And this is also what Aquarius is about, and Uranus. And we use Mars and Venus to actually build those realities in an integral way, a structurally sound way. That's what Capricorn and Aquarius is about. So I hope this is helpful. And if you do have any thoughts, perceptions, experiences you want to share, it's always valuable. It makes the conversation rich. If you find this information valuable, please do support my channel by sharing the video, liking, subscribing to the channel, commenting, if you feel inclined. And I always love coming on here, and I always love interacting. So if you feel inclined to interact, I would love to say hi to you and talk about this in the comments. And so feel free. And if you find yourself desiring a reading, you can always contact me at knowthyselfandheal@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and may it be a very blessed lunar month for you and a blessed new moon, setting intentions for your personal self-actualization through this Gemini consciousness. See you on the next video.